23 meeting of the Dalton City Council to order. Mr. Mock will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
The agenda is before you. Any additions, corrections, deletions? Approved. Motion by Mr. Mock. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Goodlet. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Next, public commentary. Margaret, you said 1 second, so you're 1 second's up.
So what I put in front of you, Mayor and Council, was August economic impact. It came to a total of $561,973. And hotel motel tax collections are trending about 100,000, close to 101,000 ahead of this time last year. So I just wanted to report that. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Minutes are before you from the council meeting of August 21st. Any additions, corrections, deletions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Mock. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Goodlet. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. New business number 2, adoption of the 2023 millage rate. Cindy?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You've previously been given the notice of the current year digest, the 5-year historical digest, and the rollback calculation. For 2023, we have a net digest of 4.5 billion, an assessed value with an increase of 797 million from the prior year. Of that amount, 549 is from the reassessment and 248 million is from growth. You're aware that we do a rollback calculation, which removes the millage equivalent of the reassessed value added to the net digest in between the years. Adoption of the millage rate at the rollback rate is equivalent to a 0% tax increase. The rollback rate is 1.936 mils. And I will entertain any questions, but I recommend that we adopt the millage rate at the rollback rate.
How far does our millage rate history go back?
I can pull it for you.
Is this the lowest ever? It's got to be 1.9 mils. It's got to be.
I can check.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure, but I would think so.
Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah. And this year was the first year we've actually passed sales taxes, passed property taxes.
Yes. Last
Good.
fiscal year, yes.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Mock. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Farrell. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 3, ordinance 23-15, the request of Chris James to rezone from transitional commercial C4 to general commercial C2, a tract of land totaling 0.16 acres located at 923 South Hamilton Street, Dalton, Georgia. Ethan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a fairly straightforward rezoning request. In fact, this petitioner has been before us a few times before. The property directly south of the subject property is part of an auto repair shop, and this would be in order to expand that shop. The subject property used to have a single family detached dwelling on it. That former dwelling has been razed and the lot is now vacant. The petitioner is requesting this rezoning again to expand their existing business to the south. And if we look in this area, you can see that commercial is quite common and C2 is already well established along this area of South Hamilton. We found no issues with the comprehensive plan based on the development in this area, and we saw no issues in terms of the zoning map or potential impact to adjacent properties in this area. So the recommendation from staff was to approve. The recommendation from the Planning Commission was also a unanimous approval, and we heard no opposition from any of these surrounding property owners.
What's the business?
It's an auto repair shop. I can't recall if it's auto body or auto mechanic, but it is auto related.
Any questions? There a motion?
We approve.
Motion by Mr. Farrell.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mock. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 4, ordinance 23-16, the request of Sandra Milton to rezone from heavy manufacturing MT to rural residential R5 tracts of land totaling 0.46 acres located on Levert Drive, Dalton, Georgia. Ethan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We can see in this area that what we have here is an area largely zoned for manufacturing use. But as we look at the subject property and lot size around it, there's a small pocket neighborhood in this area. And we see these commonly throughout these M2 manufacturing areas because this comes up again and again with an older zoning ordinance that the city had back in the day. This was a pyramid style ordinance where residential uses were allowed in the manufacturing zone district. So these were some that just weren't rezoned in the 2015 Unified Zoning Ordinance Amendment. And we still have some outlying non-conforming properties, which the subject property would be considered. Based on the character of the property, the size of the property, it's not really suitable or fit for manufacturing, and the petitioner's request would be to create a conforming residential property. We found no issues with that, and we found no issues based on any of our plans based on how the property is today and the surrounding little pocket neighborhood around it. So we felt like there was no issue with rezoning this property to R5. Staff recommendation was to approve, and the planning commission was a unanimous recommendation. And we heard no opposition.
Any questions?
Is this one of those where they probably couldn't get like homeowners insurance because of the way it was zoned?
I'm not sure what it was that initiated this, but they wouldn't be able to get any kind of a building permit to do any sort of improvements or expansion of the house, nor would they be able to obtain or borrow any money mortgage wise against the home without it being zoned correctly.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Mott, second by Mr. Goodlet. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Number 5, ordinance 23-17, the request of Dagoberto Hernandez to rezone from medium-density, single-family residential R3 to high-density residential R7, a tract of land totaling 0.52 acres located at High Mountain Drive in Dalton. Ethan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This particular rezoning is a little bit different. This petitioner intends to develop the subject property to build for income producing property with multiple multifamily structures. A couple, I believe, duplexes they initiated or brought up to our attention was their plan. And if we look in this area, you can see, of course, across the main highway, the concentration of commercial development there, the subject property being right on the periphery of that commercial development, moving northward toward basically a well-established and existing single-family zone district, the medium density. So this request would alter the subject property for high-density residential, which would allow the petitioner's proposal for multiple duplex or even triplex structures, or even an apartment building, provided that they can meet all of the parking requirements. So this property currently is undeveloped. Anything to be developed on the property would have to be done so in accordance with all city codes in terms of parking and building codes and so forth. Based on the surrounding development comprehensive plan, we found, and the zoning map, we found no issues with this, creating somewhat of a transition from high intensity commercial to medium density residential with high density residential in between. We found no issue with the proposal. Staff recommendation is to approve. The planning commission recommendation was to approve, and we also heard no opposition on this hearing.
You said, what can be put on this?
Well, with R7 high density residential, essentially any residential use could be put on the subject property, from anything from a single family detached dwelling to an apartment complex, provided that they're able to meet the required setbacks, parking, and all other codes, which of course in high density residential, your setbacks are greater. There would be some buffer required on this property particularly along the eastern boundary. Any development that occurs in R7 is going to be required to meet a higher standard for setbacks. But they could have duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, an apartment building. They could have multiples of those singles on a single tract of land.
And it was
They're high density residential.
Will they also have to have a detention pond?
I believe that is depending on the amount of impervious surface that they plan on creating. So that will depend on exactly what their plan is.
Our ordinance requires anything over 5,000 square feet of added impervious to adhere and provide a stormwater plan from a licensed engineer.
Any other questions? Your motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Mock. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Farrer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Number 6, ordinance 23-18, the request of David Armstrong to rezone 2 adjacent tracts of land. The first tract is a request to rezone from low-density, single-family residential R2 to high-density residential R7. A tract of land totaling 1.9 acres located at the intersection of Mack Street and Walston Avenue, Dalton, Georgia. The second tract is to rezone from transitional residential R6 to conditional to high-density residential, a tract of land totaling 1.84 acres located on Walston Avenue, Dalton. We've seen this before, haven't we?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You are correct. This has come up not so distant past. And the portion of the property that is zoned R6 conditional was in order to develop some multifamily structures on this property off Wall Street and Walston Street. And the condition that was placed on this rezoning for R6 was a limitation for access, denying any access to a Wall Street at this location based on the fact that limited sight distance and the topography in this area. So this rezoning would not change the character of the area. It's very similar to the R6 zone district. They would be able to develop again for multifamily use, which we see along this area of Wall Street on multiple parcels of land, one particularly just to the east across the Walston Street. The same condition was recommended for this rezoning. The rezoning was recommended to be approved by both staff and the Planning Commission unanimously, and the recommendation both from staff and the Planning Commission to also limit access to Walston Street in this case, based on the site issues and accessibility for Wall Street.
Is this property sold? Is that why they've come back again?
I believe the petitioner was able to acquire an additional piece of land. Therefore, it created more opportunity for them to develop a larger scale. So they've added to the former subject property.
Ethan, if I could ask, does the ordinance have the condition about access within the ordinance, or would that need to be part of the motion that's made?
It was in the Planning Commission motion, but it certainly it wouldn't hurt to reiterate that specifically in the motion of approval.
So I'll make the motion with that condition that there is no access to Wall Street.
Yes, the condition would be to limit access to the subject property, specifically to Walston Avenue.
And it'd be no access on Wall. Correct.
Correct. No access on Wall Street.
Second.
Motion.
No,
Motion by Mr. Mock, second by Mr. Goodlett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Number 7, demolition agreement and easement for 915 Market Street.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I think this is the third meeting in a row we've had one of these abandoned, dilapidated signs along the West Walnut Avenue corridor that our code enforcement inspector, Dan Lou Allen, has worked to remedy through this voluntary abatement program in lieu of taking these matters to municipal court. A couple meetings ago, you all approved a few on Market Street, and then at the last meeting, we had another on Walnut Avenue. This is a third one on Market Street located at 915, and it's the old Carpet Express sign. As you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, the business is now the Perfect Rug, and they've agreed to enter into this voluntary abatement agreement. Time is somewhat of the essence on this because a crane operator will be on site tomorrow for the other signs along Market Street. So there's a chance, even if approved tonight, that this may come down tomorrow. And the cost, the direct cost for the crane rental would be borne by the person that owns the property. The city would pay that initially, and they would reimburse us within 30 days.
Questions?
What's our recourse if they don't pay us?
We could file a lien on the property. Am I right, Counselor?
That's correct. Yes, we would lien it or bring a direct action to recover it. It's in a written agreement.
Okay. So moved.
Motion by Mr. Mock, second by Mr. Farrer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Number 8, appointment to Design Review Board.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is a design review board that's attached to our Gateway corridor overlay regulations, which have now been in place for almost 2 years. That ordinance calls for a design review board to be appointed to review the various regulations on projects as they're developed. And then also a key part of this board is that they will be the board that reviews variance requests within the overlay district. And we just had one of those as recently as last week. Given Todd Pangle's recent appointment to Assistant City Administrator, he is going to be overseeing quite a bit of the development and code enforcement for the City Administrator's office. And it just makes more sense to have him. So to replace myself with Todd to be the chair of this design review board.
Do a
And the-
motion.
On the right is the current appointees.
Motion by Mr. Mock,
Second.
second by Mr. Farrell. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 9, design build contract with Armorco Inc., the Valley Drive Channel Stabilization Project.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This request is for the execution of a design build contract with Armorco Inc. for the Valley Drive Channel Stabilization Project. Total contract cost for the design build services is $589,479.02 and is expected to take 1 year. This is part of the multi-phase North Walnut Drainage Improvement Project and comes with a positive recommendation by the Public Works Committee and has been reviewed by the city attorney.
Tell me exactly what we're doing here, because didn't we line the pipes down there too or something?
Yes, we line the pipes, where the pipes discharge into the creek just south of Franklin. We're essentially going to be putting bank armoring in to eliminate the erosion and loss of property adjoining these residents through there.
So there aren't pipes there then?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay, all right. Question.
So will this project be done before or after the project to the north of this
It'll most likely be done in conjunction with,
junction with it?
yes, assuming the duration of the permitting process associated with this one. So
Right.
How are we paying for this?
it's funded by capital projects, bonded capital projects.
All right.
I move we approve.
Motion, Mr. Ferris, second by Mr. Mock. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Under supplemental business, we've got 2 Boy Scouts here. If they'll meet me down front here. Tell us exactly what y'all are doing.
We're doing the citizenship.
You are,
in the
first,
commu-
you are.
Oh, we both are.
No, your name.
Oh, Ethan, sorry.
Ethan
Smith.
Smith,
Daniel Baxter.
Daniel Baxter. Okay, tell us what you're doing.
We're doing the citizenship in the community merit badge, and one of the requirements was that we attend a city council meeting and discuss one of the topics.
Okay, and did you learn anything? And I think you wanted a picture, right? Somebody want a picture? You want them together? You want them for proof that they were here? All right. Okay, all right, yeah. Appreciate y'all coming. What troop were y'all with? 60? I was at Troop 60 a long time ago.
I was too.
You were too? Do I hear a motion, we adjourn?
So moved.
We're adjourned.